Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity, and it's been great to hear about the really fascinating work that people are doing all around the world. I'm going to talk a little bit about the work I've done. There's been a little bit of kind of intersection, and how I got introduced to this community is through working with people at UH on outrigger canoe paddling at the site that you can see behind me. And I'm going to also talk a little bit about some other work that I do with partners on surf conservation. Next slide, please. So I am a consultant, work for an organization called Integral Consulting. We have a really big focus on natural resources and their use. I am within the economics practice, but work a lot in marine science and engineering and coastal resilience projects. So a lot of that work is focused on understanding how extreme weather events and climate change impact our coastal systems. Next slide, please. As you can probably hear, I was born in Australia, but I now live in California. I spent most of my childhood holidays at a place called 1770. It was the second landing place of Captain Cook in Australia, and so there's a Captain Cook connection to Hawaii. I'm interested in all forms of water. So from the very top of the catchment in winter in California, in snowboarding, all the way down through the system, paddling as a former kayak racer and surf ski paddler, out into the ocean as a surfer. You can see in the bottom image there, I had a mishap surfing in Mexico on the Eddy Swell earlier this year. The waves got quite big. For those of you who are not surfers, the Eddie Aikau event is an invitation-only big wave event that's held in Hawaii once the waves get over a certain size, and at least 20 feet. And the 20 feet Hawaiian is big if you're not a surfer. And I work on projects all around the Pacific, in Australia, also a lot of work in California and Hawaii, and also up into Canada, working with tribal groups there, and into Central and Latin America, working on surf conservation projects. And I see in the chat there's a note that you're not a big fan of Captain Cook, and that's completely understandable and a sentiment that's shared in much of Australia. So much of my work is intersecting in ways with public health that are about the use of natural resources. So what those resources provide, both in an ecological sense and the goods and services they provide, but also their contribution to being places that we work, play, and enjoy. A lot of that work is focused on recreation and tourism use of the coastal zone. And we do that to support decisions about how those coastal resources are managed. A lot of my work is around the use of beaches and surf breaks in particular, and we use some quite innovative methods to try and understand the regional importance of those areas. So not just for the people who happen to be fortunate enough to live right on the beaches, but also the image on the right shows kind of the catchment area, so where people are coming from to use those resources. And that's really got a big focus on equity, making sure that people who live further inland and don't have such easy access still have the opportunities to get to coastal areas. So in California, we have high heat days during the summer, and a lot of people travel from the Central Valley and further inland to get to the coast to get some relief. So there's the health kind of benefits of that, particularly when we have heat waves that go over multiple nights that are affecting socially vulnerable populations like the young children and the elderly and those with disabilities. Next slide, please. Just an example of some of the work that I did, and this kind of brought me into the orbit of the work that is being done at UH that has been touched on here before. So this is for a project that is on Maui. Again, the image that is behind me in my background, this is at Ho'aloha Park, and it's a park that is really important for the paddling community for the whole island. And so there are or there are 3 canoe halei's there, and it's also used for students, teaching people how to paddle, surf safety, a lot of different users in this area. It's also a area that is used heavily by kite foilers, and the way that people interact with coastal areas is really important for the future management and decisions about how to respond to existing issues associated with erosion, but also future sea level rise impacts. In the image on the bottom, you can see some heat map tools that we use to understand where different user groups are really focusing their use of an area and which areas are most important to them. And that can be highlighting access points, or it can be highlighting cultural resources, or it can be highlighting other aspects of the way that people interact with these spaces. And really our work is trying to ensure that that access, both the physical access, but also being able to get to the beaches, is really something that's available to all. We use cultural and economic values to do that, to kind of make the argument, but my role is really more of a translator to ensure that those natural spaces and the recreational and kind of public health benefits that they provide are given due consideration in how we decide how to respond to threats and the future management of these areas. The physical and mental health aspects are not particularly well understood in my area, kind of within the environmental economics literature. And so I really want to try and work on bridging the gap between economics and public health. Next slide, please. And so I do quite a lot of work in partnership with Save the Waves, which is a non-profit organization. They have 13 World Surf Reserves around the world, and also additional surf protected area networks. That work takes a number of different forms, trying to understand that importance, but also create the protection and regulation for those areas. Thank you.